Am I the asshole for copying the joke my husband played on me? I have been struggling to keep up with the mess my husband has been making around the house. He's got PTSD and suffers from anxiety and depression, which means he often creates mess and struggles to tidy it up. I try to be understanding, and I don't mind so much if it's a little bit of clutter. It's the empty crisp packets, sweetie wrappers, juice cans, bottles, and dirty plates, glasses, cups that I really can't stand. I'm going away for a few days on a course for work. So I tidied and cleaned all rooms in the house so that I don't have loads to come back to. Since then, I've found various bits of rubbish and dirty clothing left by my husband when he's well aware that I've just cleaned up. The other day, he put a biscuit wrapper on the radiator where I would see it to see if I would say anything to him about it. Obviously I did. And he laughed when I said I was annoyed and told me it was just a joke. I told him I didn't think it was funny, and I was having to use my weekend to tidy up his mess. Cut to now. He's finished a full box of tea cakes and left the empty box on the counter in the kitchen, roughly 1 away from the bin, in an effort to show him how annoying it is when people leave things lying around. And to copy his joke from yesterday, I took the rubbish and put it atop his gaming laptop. No crumbs. Just a dry empty box. He's had a tantrum, told me I'm being horrible and doing things to get a response out of him. Thrown some stuff. Then told me I've ruined our night. Also said I had to go further to put it on his laptop than just put it in the bin. So why didn't I just do that? I asked him if it's so easy. Why didn't he put it in the bin? Petty, perhaps. But he doesn't realize how frustrating it is. I also understand that having mental health issues can make it difficult to keep on top of things. But I feel like he uses it as an excuse sometimes. Not the asshole throwing things is a giant red flag. He needs counseling. Not the asshole. If he's well enough to fetch snacks and play games, then he's well enough to clean up his crap. He's being disrespectful of your shared space. Not the asshole. Amazing how not funny it is when suddenly it's a minor inconvenience to him. What a flaming R. Isn't he doing things to get a reaction out of you? Maybe I'm petty, but I'd escalate. Dump a whole garbage can on his OC. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. PTSD allows a person to be a messy and not take responsibility. I am not an expert, but this seems a bit of a stretch. Especially after the manipulation disguised as a joke. If he really has PTSD, he should be in therapy. There are better treatments. If he refuses, I would think twice about his maturity level and seek assistance with his attitude about treating you like a servant, etc. He's intentionally messing with you and then being rude when the joke is on him. Let him live in his filth. Stay with a friend for a while after you get back. You're in the UK. Anyway, leave him. Not enough upside to the situation. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. He's using weaponized incompetence so he never has to do anything. Keep putting his garbage on his laptop until he learns where the garbage can is. Not the asshole. And if he thinks it's so funny, I really don't think his mental health can be blamed for his habits. Sounds more like he's made you his mother. Not the asshole. What does PTSD have any with cleaning up after himself? This guy is acting like a boy. Next time, put the empty box in the cupboard. Two things can be true at the same time. Your husband can legit have PTSD and struggle mightily with that. And he can also be using this condition to avoid taking on adult responsibility. It sounds like he wants a mother more than a wife. You are not the asshole. Not the asshole. Why are you two still married? Also, why are you two not in counseling? Nah, this is just him being able to dish it out, but unable to take it. You should keep doing it when he doesn't clean up. Not the asshole. I am not as understanding as you are. I would not give him a pass on picking up his own stuff. It seems as if he enjoys you doing his bidding, maybe a power thing. Time for counseling to nip this in the bud, and if he refuses to go or is uncooperative, then it is time to leave. You can do much better. Not the asshole. Having mental health issues can absolutely affect the motivation, but that's him being an asshole. Not having a mental illness. He does it because you clean up after him. I have depression and anxiety, and yet I can somehow see my way to throw wrappers in the bin. Especially after someone just cleaned the area. I also see my husband leave his garbage on the counter. Yeah, no. Right on top of where the garbage bin is, under the counter. It's men being fucking babies. Not mentally ill. But he doesn't realize how frustrating it is. Yes, he does. If he's playing jokes by leaving stuff around intentionally to annoy you, he realizes how frustrating it is. He's doing it on purpose. Not the asshole. Please OP get a divorce. Not the asshole at all. Sounds like he is using his PTSD as an excuse to be a jerk to you. The whole testing you business and the throwing things is a huge red flag. Coming from someone who also has PTSD, anxiety, and depression, I'm wondering where he is finding time to joke. Not the asshole. But your husband certainly is. He is weaponizing his PTSD, anxiety and depression as an excuse for being the kind of deadbeat male partner so many women complain about on Reddit. And he's not content to just manipulate and take advantage of you like that. He's getting his jollies fucking with you like a total asshole. And then darvoing you by turning things around and playing the victim when he is the one in the wrong. Honestly, your husband sounds like a professional victim in general. Please, get yourself into therapy because you are in an abusive situation. Not the asshole. He does understand how frustrating it is. He doesn't care. It's totally fine when he does it to you. When you do it to him, he goes ballistic. If it were a symptom of his mental illness, he wouldn't have lost it on you. NTA. Try thinking a bit about how you feel when you're away and how you feel when you're home. If he already has a therapist, you can email them and just say, hey, I don't know how to handle this situation. He exploded when he was treated the same way. I know it feels like tattling, but that kind of explosion is something the therapist should know about. PTSD, anxiety and depression. He can just cherry pick any of those as an excuse for him needing to be cleaned up after like a child. Now can't he? Don't get me wrong. These are serious. But man, his tantrum tells me he's working it. And working it hard. Not the asshole. You are enabling the behavior. Pile his messes up and leave them for him. He married a woman, not a maid. Am I the asshole for punishing our nieces and nephews over the damage my bill did to our house? I have a home office and decided to have some light renovations done. I looked into hiring a professional contractor, but my wife wanted me to hire her brother. I was hesitant. First, he's a handyman and not a contractor. Second, He doesn't have insurance or even many of the tools required to do this job. All of the contractors I spoke to are insured and he had to borrow my tools. Third, I had to pay him money up front to cover the cost of materials while the contractors all have accounts with suppliers, so they didn't require any upfront money. My wife talked me into it because he needs the money and has a family. We decided to take a vacation while he was going to do the work and came back to a mess. The carpet was soaked and moldy. Nothing was done. Materials were everywhere and it smelled like a swamp in our house. Apparently when he drilled into the wall, he didn't locate the waterline and hit it. He only noticed the leaking when he came back from lunch and the carpet was soaked. He tried to find the shut-off but couldn't, so he tore into the wall to try and stop the leaking, which made it worse, on top of which he couldn't stop it there either. He panicked and called a coworker who came over hours later and found the shut-off. Instead of calling us immediately, he left the house as it was, and I guess it was out of sight, out of mind. The repair cost ended up being triple the original cost. Since his family is living on Section 8 housing and other government assistance, we decided last year to start saving to take them and her parents on a beach vacation this year in December as their Christmas gift. We told them about it a couple of months ago so everyone could get their calendar in order. I told me wife we should cancel the trip and apply that money to the cost of the repairs. This has caused an argument between us. My wife said it's not fair to punish her nieces, nephews, and parents since they've been excited about the trip and they could never afford to go on their own. I argued we can't afford to eat the cost without it affecting our budget. She loves her nieces and nephews and keeps on saying I'm unfairly punishing them. We're supposed to go to her parents for dinner tonight and she forbade me to cancel the trip or even bring up the subject. I don't think I can look at her stupid brother without calling him stupid. Not the asshole. In what world does your wife live in that it is okay to pay a family member to damage your home? Pay for repairs caused by family member, then pay again to reward said family member. Tell everyone the trip is postponed for a year. Repairs need to be completed first. AITA, it's not punishment to not go on a vacation. That language is inflammatory. At worst it's disappointing to not go, but there are hundreds of other ways to be kind, generous with kids' parents that won't put you in debt. Not the asshole if you can no longer afford the vacation because of the repair costs. That is a reasonable discussion to have with the family. Explain to the adults what is going on and let your brother explain it to his children. How about just postponing the trip for a year or two? Tell the family at dinner that due to the repair costs, it just isn't in the budget this year. You don't have to lay the blame anywhere, though everyone will have their own opinion as to who is at fault. You have to fix your office. That is the priority. You should not have to go into debt over a gift. Good luck. Also not the asshole. Not the asshole. Tell everyone the truth that the damage your bill caused means that you can no longer afford to pay for the vacation. You aren't punishing them. You aren't suing him, he's possible sue-proof even if you won, and bankrupting him, it is solely that you still have to pay out to cover the damage he caused, and that means you can no longer afford it. Info: has her brother even offered to pay for the damage? Not the asshole. You are being used as an ATM by your wife's family. The damage needs to be repaired and your bill isn't competent to do it. You have the money saved, so you have to use it. Mold in a home is a serious problem. You need to cancel the trip or postpone it until next year. Why does your wife tell you what you can or can't say? Just don't go to dinner. You have a wife problem. Not the asshole. You have a wife problem. You need to sit down together and look at your budget and ask her where else there is to cut except the trip. If you do end up going, I'd be insisting that Bill stays home. Not the asshole. Mistakes were made, and you had to cover the cost of repairs. Delay the trip a little. It's not punishing anyone. It just is. Things happen. And sometimes those things cost time and money to rectify. This means other things that cost time and money need to be put on hold for a little bit. I doubt any of these mistakes were malicious. Just honest mistakes or bad luck. They weren't handled correctly either. So it got worse. Not the asshole. I'd cancel trip permanently, not even so much because he damaged stuff but the fact he left it for you to find instead of owning up and calling you ASAP or even trying to fix it before you got back. Honestly, I'd even see about making him pay because he royally effed you up. I argued we can't afford to eat the cost without it affecting our budget. She loves her nieces and nephews and keeps on saying I'm unfairly punishing them. She should sell her stuff to pay for it then. WTF. She's being incredibly unreasonable. Not the asshole. But honestly, you would soon end up supporting your Bill and his family. If I were you, I'd put things in clear with your wife. The way she keeps pushing her nibblings onto you. You'll be expected to pay for their colleges too at this point. I don't think I can look at her stupid brother without calling him stupid is a pretty great line. Tears of joy. Not the asshole. You were doing him a favor in the first place. And then he severely damaged your house without even trying to fix it. You aren't even asking him to pay to fix it. Which is more than nice enough already. Not the asshole, since it would affect your budget if you didn't cancel and apply funds toward the losses he caused. I know fixing that stuff is not cheap. That said, you all should have known better than to hire him. You already knew he wasn't qualified. So you were kind of asking for something to happen. Just saying. Not the asshole. If you can't afford the trip now because of what he did, then that's what it is. Cancel it. Your wife is ridiculously stupid in this case. What are you supposed to do? Go into debt so his kids can have a vacation? When you marry someone, you marry their family. If their family is a hot mess, run. Because their poor decisions will definitely affect you and any kids you have. Trust me. This isn't ending here. Your wife will keep pushing and pushing you for financial help for them. She forbade me to cancel the trip. Cancel it anyway. Lawyer up and cut your losses. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I see where Shusha's coming from with the kids, but if it's explained out that you're not canceling because you're mad punishing but Bekasu of the unexpected repair costs, ultimately it's her fault. She shouldn't have backed you into hiring her brother, and now it sucks, but she has to deal with those consequences. Not the asshole. Who is supposed to pay for the repairs if the brother isn't? I wouldn't spend one dime on him. Tell your wife if she wants to go on the trip, the bill stays home. You have a wife problem. She forbade me from canceling the trip. If you are paying for it, you have every right to cancel it. Am I the asshole for not letting my neighbor and her kids swim in our pool? I 29F live with my husband 30M in a nice house in a smaller town. We have double income, no kids. Our house has a pool in the yard. It's really nice since it does get quite hot during summers. Our neighbor 32F is a single mom of 3. Her house doesn't have a pool and it's a lot smaller than ours. Both me and my husband babysit for her sometimes, which is why I know this. Yesterday morning, when my husband had already left for work and I had started to work from home, I heard noises from our yard. Our houses in here aren't right next to each other, so it's quite easy to tell that the noise is from your yard. So I went to check, and our neighbor and her kids were swimming in our pool. I was confused since she has never came to our house uninvited. But I went to talk to her and asked what was going on. She explained that she had a day off from work, so she wanted to do something nice with her kids, so she decided to borrow our pool since we don't have much use for it since we are child-free. I asked her nicely to leave since they had come uninvited and were there without our permission. She thought I was joking, but when I asked again she got defensive and demanded that I should give her valid reasoning why she and her kids can't be there. I didn't give her reasonings, but I told her that I would call the police if she didn't leave and told her not to show up uninvited again. She did leave but kept cursing at me and even accused me of classism. I think it's important to mention that because we live in an area where the houses aren't right next to each other and you can't see inside our house even for the furthest point of our yard. So me and my husband tend to hang out just in underwear or sometimes naked. So I was shocked to find her there just using our pool so comfortably. My neighbor has been mad to me since, and she has bad-mouthed me to others in the neighborhood. I told my husband and my parents about this. My husband and my dad think what I did was reasonable, but my mom told me that I should have been more understanding to her since she works hard and is a single mom of 3. But I feel like she didn't care about our privacy at all. So am I the asshole? Edit. Thank you for all the advice. We have purchased locks and cameras for our pool. We already have a fence. Also, we live in the US. But we were both born in China and have later moved here. We met in university here in the US. I'm also sorry for my spelling errors. Also, we were babysitting for free. But we're not going to continue doing so. Not the asshole. First, this is your pool and you get to decide who can use it. Much like you can decide who can just walk into your house. Second, there are liability issues if anyone gets hurt or worse. Third, when people start demanding your things, they have lost the moral high ground. This neighbor and her kids will just have to find another place to swim. Until she sincerely apologizes and agrees to abide by your terms. Not the asshole. Get cameras for outside. Not the asshole. It's your pool and your property. But, for liability reasons, get a fence with a locked gate up ASAP. If one of them gets hurt on your property, they will sue you. Not the asshole. 1. She's crazy. 2. If anything happened to her or her kids, you would be liable. 3. She's crazy. Not the asshole. You can't just use people's things without permission. Not the asshole. It takes a lot of nerve to walk over to your neighbor's house and just go in their pool. At least have the decency to knock on the door and ask, or better yet, call you up and ask. Your yard is not the public pool. You don't owe a reason. She was rude and entitled and ballsy. Just because you watch her kids and don't have kids yourself doesn't make your pool open for all to use. Do have a fence around it? If so, maybe invest in a lock. In my country, you have to have a fence with a pool to avoid this situation where someone can drown. Especially children. Not the asshole. The entitlement of your neighbor. Doesn't matter if you have kids or not, it's your pool. In your backyard. You decide who can go in. End of story. And for your neighbor to just jump in, it's trespassing. and can make you liable if there was any incident. If it happens again, call the police straight away. Borrowing something without permission is called theft. What's next? Is she going to invite herself and her children into your home if no one is there? Not the asshole. I suggest putting up a tall fence with a lock on it. If she did it once, she'll do it again. And if someone gets hurt, it'll be your problem. In the US, most places require a fence at least 4 feet tall with a lock around pools to minimize the risk to children. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You said your husband had already left for work. Did she maybe think you were at work as well? And nobody would notice if she used the pool? If so, are you certain this was the first time? She might have done this before. Maybe install cameras on your property and inform her of this. I'm sure she won't do that again. Then. Not the asshole, and perhaps it's time to build a fence around the pool. Not the asshole. She is. And if you did not nip this in the bud, next year, the kids will be there without adult supervision. Not the asshole. The pool is your property, and she should have asked for permission before using it. Not the asshole. The audacity. I wouldn't babysit for her ever again. Not the asshole. Just because she is a single mother doesn't mean she instantly gets what she wants. She's an adult. I think you need to put up a camera pointed at the pool to catch if they trespass again. Also maybe consider putting up a very nice private fence, which from where I'm from are 6 feet tall. Also she doesn't need a reason for you asking her to leave. It's your property and they decided to trespass. Some single moms think they should get to use everything of everybody's. She is one of those single moms. Please update if anything else occurs. Not the asshole. It's your property and your pool. They're trespassing if they use it without asking permission. Also there's liability issues. What if one of them has an accident while using your pool? You may end up being liable if something goes wrong even if they used it without permission. If you don't have one already, put up a fence with a lockable gate to protect yourself and make sure her kids don't wander over by themselves and have an unfortunate accident. Single mom is not a coupon code. Not the asshole. If an accident happens with one of the kids while they're swimming in your pool, with or without your permission, you're going to be held liable legally. In this case, not the asshole. But consider installing cameras and have some form of written record, text or email, where you lay out to your neighbor that she trespassed into your pool without your permission. And she should not do this in the future. Not the asshole. Like, what if you had just done a heavy amount of chemical addition to clean the pool and it wasn't safe to swim? Your neighbor is a huge liability. If a kid died in your pool, it doesn't matter that you didn't give permission. She can still sue you. Get locks on your gates and no trespassing signs. Cameras as well, if you can. If she does it again, call the police and have a record of it. Guaranteed if she's entitled enough to use your property without permission. She is the type who would also sue if someone were injured. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole for throwing out dinner in response to BF refusing to clean up after himself? I and my boyfriend try to divide our chores as evenly as possible. We live together. He washes the dishes and takes out the trash, while I do laundry and cook dinner several times a week, along with packing him lunch. We both work similar schedules. He works 10-hour days, 4 days a week, with a 2-hour commute. I work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, with a 4-hour commute. In the past few months, We've argued twice about him not cleaning up after himself. The particular sore spots are him not hanging up his bath towel after drying off, which causes it to get moldy and smelly, along with him leaving his clothes all over the ground. He knows this causes me a huge amount of stress and anxiety, and I refuse to do it for him because he is an adult. In the beginning, I'd ask him every single day, nicely and politely, to put his clothes in the hamper and hang his bath towel up. This would continue for several days straight, and I'd get frustrated and escalate the issue, pointing out that I shouldn't have to ask him to do this every single day. In response, he'd get mad, threaten to leave since he's such a horrible boyfriend, say he was going to put it away eventually, and that I was being a bitch. Today, I got out of work an hour early, walked home a mile from the train station, and decided to cook us a nice pasta dinner. There was a pile of 5 days' worth of his clothes on the floor, making me super anxious and annoyed. I avoided asking him to put him away the last several days in fear of arguing. Dinner was almost ready when he got home, and I confronted him. I asked him to please put them away now. He said in an hour and proceeded to sit at his computer and play on his Game Boy. He complained his feet hurt, even though he works an office job, and he drove home. I told him please do it now. I walked home a mile after working all day and it didn't stop me from making dinner for us. He said if you're going to hold making dinner over my head, just throw it out. So I did. I threw out a whole dinner of pasta and ground beef, because I felt disgusted by the thought of someone who doesn't respect me or our living space, eating food I exhaustedly spent an hour making. He freaked out, and said he thinks I have mental problems, because wasting the food was unnecessary and that I'm erratic. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. You should have left when he started calling you a bitch. Not the asshole, but it's not the dinner that needs throwing out here. Not the asshole, but you need to throw the whole boyfriend out. He's never going to change. If you stay 10, 20, 30 years from now, he'll still be leaving a mess behind him. Normally I'd judge pretty harshly for throwing away someone's food, but you get a ton of bonus points for malicious compliance. So not the asshole. Ugh. Break up with him. You're not his GF, you're his mother. Not the asshole. Break up now. It won't get better. He doesn't care enough to do basic things like hanging up a towel. Is he 5 years old? Break up. You aren't erratic, he is a self-centered jerk who doesn't care about you. Not the asshole. And you should dump him. In response, he'd get mad, threaten to leave since he's such a horrible boyfriend, say he was going to put it away eventually, and that I was being a bitch. This was the moment that you should have dumped him. I have been with my partner for 10 years and never once has he called me a bitch. It's completely unacceptable to call your partner that. You should never tolerate it. Send him back home to mommy. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. This is who he is. And he will not change. If you don't like living with a slob, dump him and move closer to your job. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. He's not going to change. You also didn't overreact. It's an ongoing issue that finally reached its limit. 4-hour commute. Holy hell. That alone would be incredibly stressful. Not the asshole. He sounds terrible. Threatening to leave when you ask him to do a simple task is borderline abusive behavior. I think you have a boyfriend problem. Let him leave. He is a horrible boyfriend and toxic AF, not the asshole. He sounds like my ex. Please learn from my mistakes and don't waste years of your life with someone who doesn't respect you, your needs, or your requests. You will be frustrated all the time. He has shown you who he is, so believe him. Edit not the asshole. And we also threw each other's dinner in the trash once. Not the asshole. BF is being an ass. Yeah, everyone has different levels of tolerance for disorder. But in a relationship, you have to find some kind of balance. BF doesn't seem to be willing to make any changes here. The threatening to leave and guilt-tripping is some ugly stuff. Not the asshole. Leave this guy. Not the asshole. Think long and hard about the life you would have with this lazy, selfish person into the future. He won't change. He hasn't changed yet and he won't in the future. Dump him and find someone better or be happier single. Not the asshole. You're not the one with the difficulty adulting and he's projecting his own issues on you. Not the asshole. You need to throw him out next. Dump his lazy ass and find someone who will appreciate you. You deserve better than this. Not the asshole. He's a guilt-tripping R. Dump him. Not the asshole. He FAFO. Dump the dude. Get a puppy. Or a kitten. Love who you love, just not that guy. You aren't erratic. You took his statement at face value and he didn't like it. He's acting like a 10-year-old boy. I read a parenting book a long time ago that actually says to do something similar. You're supposed to say when you continually refuse to take care of your part of the household tasks, you make me feel like not doing them either, and throw the food away. This is the definition of blowing smoke up your ass. You are not the asshole. I have dealt with this for years from my husband. I wish I could change this part of him. Because the rest is fantastic. Don't put up with it. Or you will spend your whole life cleaning up after a slob. Should have dumped him and kept the pasta. Pasta would never treat you like that. Not the asshole. Tell him to beat it. Intar. Honestly, it won't get better. He is okay living like this. Leave now while you can. Unfortunately, BF doesn't appear to be fully capable of adulting. He views your comments as controlling and does not recognize his culpability in the exchange. Not the asshole. Hang up the BF. Not the towel. Congratulations, you're the proud parent of a 26-year-old teenager. Enjoy the next 50 years of cleaning, cooking and child rearing while he plays Game Boy. Not the asshole. Get out of there while you can. If it's on the floor, then it's obviously trash. If I have to pick it up, it's going in the trash can. Throw out the boyfriend, not the perfectly good food. Good job, he's an entitled dork. Not the asshole. Dump him. Get a studio apartment closer to your job. This guy doesn't respect you and it sounds like he never will. This is called trying on the shoes before you buy them. It's not going to get better. Am I the asshole for not giving my married friend a +1 to my wedding? I am getting married next summer. I invited a friend from university to my wedding but intentionally did not give him a +1 for his wife. His wife and I do not get on. She attended university with us. And we had our fair share of fights then and a rather large fuss some 5 odd years ago. We live on opposite sides of our country and only see each other a couple times a year, if that. For special occasions like other friends' weddings. His wife and I can be generally cordial now but mostly avoid or ignore one another. They got married around 4 years ago. and I was not invited to their wedding. My friend told me in no uncertain terms that he wanted me there. But his wife did not, and that he chose to respect her wishes on her big day. I was disappointed but understanding and never let it affect our friendship. I am having a big wedding and all guests with spouses, fiancés, and serious BFGFs are getting +1s. Except for said friend. It is not a numbers issue. I simply do not want his wife in attendance. I have considered the likelihood that my friend will RSVP no given the lack of a +1. But I am okay with this outcome. I have no intention of telling him ahead of time that most others are getting a +1. But I'm aware that he is most likely going to find out. My fiancé and I obviously discussed this matter, and she is fully supportive of this decision. Other friends that I have spoken to tell me that I'm being ruthless and basically should not have even invited my friend if I wasn't going to give him a +1 for his wife. So, am I the a-hole? Edit. Since a lot are asking about the fuss, I'll give a little more context. She cheated on my friend at university. They broke up. I was not as warm to her afterwards but not outwardly mean. She wanted him back. He asked for advice. I said don't do it. He took her back anyways, obviously, his right to do so, but I remained more distant from her. Not sure if my friend told her that I advised they remain broken up, would not be surprised, or if it was just me not being as friendly. But she turned nasty on me. 5 years ago, I called her out for her bitchy behavior after she hurt me with multiple rude comments. Alcohol was involved and admittedly I could have handled the situation with more finesse. Our interaction ruined wonderful evening. Once we sobered up the following day, I apologized for my part and expected the same in return. Instead, she not only refused to apologize or accept any blame, but she also entirely rejected my apology. Not the asshole. I was leaning you're the R. Until you said that you weren't even invited to their wedding. So I think it's fair not to invite her. But it really sucks that you and your good friend's spouse hate each other this much. Why is that? Not the asshole. What exactly is ruthless here? You have direct evidence that she feels the same way and it prevented you from going to a good friend's wedding. It's not like you're shocking her with the fact that your feelings aren't reciprocated. I would communicate with your friend though that she is not invited and that only his name on the invite wasn't a mistake. Not the asshole. No one has anything to say given you were not invited to their wedding. You are simply reciprocating. And it's your wedding anyhow. End of story. ETA wild all the YTA comments. Funny how everyone is fine with no kids but has a problem with no specific adults you don't like. Haha, I am fine with all of it, it's your day. Not the asshole. When he doesn't get the +1. He should know why. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't come. I don't understand why you would even invite him. As long as you are okay with your friend not showing up and no longer being friendly with you, go right ahead. Personally, I'd have considered the friendship over after the non-invite to his wedding. Not the asshole. She didn't want you at her wedding. You don't want her at your wedding. I don't see an issue. Not the asshole. If she didn't want you at her wedding, then it's reasonable to not want her at yours. I don't think your friend will be hurt or surprised that his wife isn't invited. Why are you inviting him at all? He didn't invite you to his wedding because of her. So why invite him? If you are in the fence. Just ask him how he wants to handle it. Dude. I'd love to have you at the wedding. But you know how it is with Becky. Do I send you an invitation without her? Or do you just want to take a pass? Not the asshole. I get it. Just understand that your friendship may not be the same. Also consider that inviting her allows you to keep the moral high ground. If the friendship survives, she'll be able to throw the "but he didn't invite me either" card. If you don't care about that or the friendship possibly being damaged, then go for it. Not the asshole. His wife and I can be generally cordial now but mostly avoid or ignore one another. It's your wedding day. I wouldn't want them there either if I can't trust they'll remain civil. I mean, I wouldn't expect your friend to come then. I cannot understand the YTA. It's not uncivil to not invite someone who explicitly exclude him from her wedding. I'm going, not the asshole. No one is entitled to your wedding. Unpopular opinion, but oh well. Sue me. Not the asshole. You and your wife discussed it. Are on the same page. And ultimately it's your wedding and you can invite whomever you'd like to. Or not. Just like your friend's wife to their wedding. Side note. I disagree with your friend's you shouldn't have sent the single invite to your friend. You sent him one. He's your friend. He can choose. Not sending one would have been ruthless. In my opinion. Info: what was that rather large fuss about? It's odd that you omitted your reasons for the mutual animosity. ETA okay. Yeah. Not the asshole. I would not want this woman anywhere near my wedding, no matter who she's married to. Not the asshole. Why would you allow someone you dislike to be at your wedding? It is about celebrating a joyous day with the people you love, and if she is going to put a damper on the day, then you have every right not to invite her. Info: I understand the principle of the matter. But what was this big fight 5 or so years ago? As advice of sorts. Are you okay with the idea that you may damage your friendship? A lot of people would see not inviting a friend differently than only inviting one half of a couple. Not the asshole. It's your wedding. Not the asshole. What's good for one is good for the other. She set the precedent. You are just following her guidelines. Not the asshole. She didn't invite you to her wedding. You have no obligation to invite her. Not the asshole. The wife you're avoiding didn't invite you to their wedding. Why should she be invited to yours? I have no intention of telling him ahead of time that most others are getting a +1. But I'm aware that he is most likely going to find out. Maybe you should tell him. What if he gets to your wedding all excited to celebrate, then sees that everyone has their +1s? Nah, you all just don't seem like good friends anymore. Not the asshole. It's your wedding. You get to decide who can or can't come. Though it's pretty petty to do what you did. But being petty doesn't make you an asshole. Am I the asshole for not respecting my daughter-in-law's boundaries when she gives birth and laughing in her face? English isn't my first language and I barely speak it, so I hope Google Translate doesn't do me wrong. I'm a 59-year-old woman and my youngest son James is about to welcome his first child with his wife Jenna. Fake names for the story Sake. With Jenna being 8 months pregnant, they've sent out a list of rules which about visits and rules. When you do come to visit, some are a bit ridiculous. I honestly thought most if not all rules didn't apply to me, especially the not seeing the baby for at least 2 months, because you see they both live rent bill free in my home. Now I say this before it's mentioned, I don't want to be in the delivery room nor care what they call the baby, that's their business. I bought most of the baby stuff and I've given 'em 2 rooms in my house with 3 years to find their own place. Tourists have made it impossible for affordable housing. I first thought it was a mistake when they sent me the email, but while we were eating our dinner I brought it up. My son lost his ability to speak, but Jenna told me they expect me to stay downstairs in the guest room, giving them the whole upstairs to themselves. And if I want to use the kitchen I'll have to text them to make sure it's okay, or I would turn one bedroom upstairs into a kitchen so it could be an apartment so we wouldn't be bothering each other. I honestly bust out laughing because I thought they were joking. Then James asked me what was so funny. They were serious, and I need to respect their boundaries or I'll never have a relationship with my grandchild. Jenna was crying at this point, saying I'm ruining this magical time for them by being disrespectful. I told them both this is my home and I'm doing them a big favor. If they don't like it, well, they can sleep on the beach. As for not letting me see the baby, well, I don't want a relationship if they're gonna use the child to get their way. They packed their bags and left for a hotel, telling me I'm a heartless monster. I don't want to ask my other kids or my friends because I don't want others being involved, so I come here for unbiased advice. Not the asshole. That really is an insane, laughable request. They could literally just keep the baby in a bedroom if they don't want you to see it at first, expecting you to give up your entire house and ask permission to use certain community rooms is overreaching and entitled. Not the asshole. It's your house. If they want privacy and their own space, they need to find another place to live. You don't make the rules when you live rent-free in someone else's home. Not the asshole. You were right to laugh at their rules. Do they think they own the house and you're the tenant living there free? They're delusional. I think they thought the threat of not being allowed to see your grandchild would get you to agree to anything they wanted. Good for you that it didn't. And no, you're not ruining their magical time for being disrespectful. They are. Meanwhile, think about what concessions they'd have to make to you in order for you to permit him to move back. They've gotten to feel too entitled to your aid. Not the asshole. Tell them I laughed with you. Not the asshole. They are living rent-free in your home and essentially wanted to keep you from using your own kitchen or common living areas. That is not reasonable. Also, don't give them the things you have purchased. Based on their inability to be reasonable, chances are you will either end up with the baby in your care or they will be back soon enough. I'm just staring at this. Not the asshole. Obviously, I hope they don't expect you to pay for the hotel. Good luck with this mess. Not the asshole. I was so ready to go full nuclear based on your title, but was pleasantly surprised. They are being ridiculously entitled. It's your house. A house guest doesn't get to dictate where you can spend time in your own home. Not the asshole. And frankly, when they come crawling back with their tail between their legs, which they will, you need to be clear on what your boundaries are in order for them to continue living in your house. It will only get worse once the baby is born. They're overly entitled. Why can't they go live off her family? Not the asshole. That's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. Even if they weren't living in your home, it would be ridiculous. But since they are literally insane. Not the asshole. They sound like idiots. LMAO. They probably have 7 brain cells combined. Who the hell makes absurd demands while living rent-free in someone's house? Not the asshole. When I read they physically live there with you, I also burst out laughing at the idea of expecting Total privacy in shared spaces. You may have shattered her dream plans. But her dream plans are delusional. Not the asshole. They're living rent-free in your house and want to restrict you to one room. And you have to ask permission to use your own kitchen. Unbelievable. Not the asshole. They can't not be serious. If they don't want anyone to see babies for 2 months, then they need their own. So do they plan on moving out? Definitely not the asshole. They're allowed to set boundaries regarding who sees their baby and when. But you are allowed to set boundaries for your house guests. They have a right to privacy in the 2 rooms you've let them use. But claiming an entire floor and telling you can't use your own kitchen without asking their permission is beyond absurd. Hope they like the beach. 100 Not the asshole. But it's time for them to get out and find their own place before delivery woman shrugging light skin tone. Not the asshole. They have no right to restrict your movement in your own home. Not the asshole. They are nasty, entitled brats. I suspect when the tiny human is born they'll be begging for some input from you. If this is exactly as you portray, it's an absolutely not the asshole. You seem to have raised a very spoiled son, who is letting himself be pushed around by his pregnant girlfriend. Not the asshole. Time for the boundary setting to swing the other way. When they beg you to let them return, lay down the rules of the household. Perhaps it's time for them to contribute to bills. Not the asshole. Tell them sounds like they want their own home, so you're giving them that by not letting them back. What entitled brats. Not the asshole. Sounds like they are playing house without the means to actually afford it. Do not feel bad. They can move in with her family. Entire. Am I understanding this right? They don't want anyone to see their baby for 2 months. Is this a cultural thing? Is this normal where you are? I don't get it. Both my parents and my in-laws visited separately for a few days after the birth of both of our children. I wish they would have stayed longer. They let my wife and I have a few much-needed breaks. Who wouldn't want that? Not the asshole whatsoever. Your header had me thinking you were, then I read your story. OMG, show them you're the front door. Not gonna lie, that title had me set to call you're the asshole, but like, are they drunk? Okay, fine. Can't see the baby for 2 months. Find somewhere else to live for 2 months. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I thought this was going to be about parenting issues. And worthy of the RJUSTNOMIL sub. But what they are asking of you is utterly ridiculous. It's time for them to move out. If they don't want anyone to see the baby for 2 months. Whatever you do, do not let them back in. They are devising another plan to steal your home from you. Using a child as hostage is unforgivable. Am I the asshole for skipping my brother's wedding to play in a tennis tournament? So I play in a lot of adult tennis leagues in the area I live in. If your team wins the league, you get to go to a big tournament later in the year at a big tennis complex in the middle of the state. A men's team I was on won our league 2 weeks ago. And the big tournament is in 4 months. In order to play at this tournament, you need at least 6 players to be able to make it. Of the 9 people on my team, 6, including me, have said they can make it, while the other 3 can't make it for various reasons. So we have just enough. I told my brother that I already had plans that weekend and that the other 2 would be better. Though I understood it was their wedding. Info: did your brother understand that one specific weekend would not work for you? The way you wrote this, it kind of sounds like you were simply telling him the other 2 weekends would be better. Not that they were the only 2 weekends that would work for you. I'm not sure that you're the asshole. But I do think that, right or wrong or indifferent, you'll regret this the rest of your life. Think about the relationship you want with your brother and his family in the future. The tennis team might be upset. Are 3 others who also can't go. It's not all on you. There was always a chance your team wouldn't go. So what's more important to you? Letting down your team or your brother? I don't think there's really a right or wrong answer. Disappointment will happen either way. AITA. It was a pre-existing event. You told your brother. He planned it on that date anyways. If he really wanted you there, wouldn't he plan the wedding around it since you had already committed to the tennis tournament? If we're playing by Reddit rules. Not the asshole. But you live in the real world and you have to know that if you skip your brother's wedding day, hopefully a once-in-a-lifetime event, for a tennis tournament, you're going to harm your relationship with him. It's not that you would be tar. It's that life isn't always as simple as that. You're the asshole. A brother's wedding where you play an important part in the wedding trumps all sports engagements. Of the 9 people on my team, 6 including me have said they can make it, while the other 3 can't make it for various reasons. So we have just enough. X200B. You're the asshole. Your brother gets married once. You're not John McEnroe. You're the asshole. You agreed to be the best man months ago, before the tournament. I understand you don't want to disappoint your teammates. But family is more important in this case. When you're planning a wedding, you have to take many people's schedules into account. And I'm sorry, but a recreational tennis tournament doesn't make the cut of things that should affect his date. Of course, you're under zero obligation to accept a wedding invitation. But really consider if this is worth disappointing your brother over. You're the asshole. This is the biggest day in your brother's life. He's your brother. Is a team and tournament more important than family? There was a viral video a while back of an interview of the coach of a pro basketball team. They asked him why he let his star player go home for the birth of his kid right before a big and important game. The coach replied, in so many words, that family was more important. This is from a coach of a professional team. You need to be there for your brother more than you need to be there for your team. Maybe they were looking at 3 dates, but the venue was available for only one of them. If it were a football tournament or my brother's wedding, unless that tournament is paying me some serious money, it's my brother all day long. Shit, if the date don't work for you, it don't, but if I were in your brother's shoes, I wouldn't even complain to family, but you would definitely end up wondering why certain other events are passing you by. You're the asshole. It's a once-in-a-lifetime event. And you're skipping it to basically play intramural tennis. You're a huge R. Expect your brother to go no contact. You mention in your post that some members of your team couldn't make it due to other commitments. You need to be one of those people. I mean, if a tennis tournament is more important than your brother who chose you to be the best man, go for it. But you can't expect him or your family to be cool with it. Not the asshole. You have made a commitment to your team. I would recommend trying to find a replacement if possible. However, you did notify your brother you had an event that weekend. He chose the date with that knowledge. If he really wanted you there, he would have picked the next weekend. I get a wedding is a big deal and moment in someone's life, but he chose that day knowing you had a prior commitment. It would be one thing if they had a reason for that besides that day felt right. You're the asshole. Ideally, Weddings happen once or are some of the most significant experiences people can ever have. But sure, you want to play tennis. I'm sure your family will understand you want to put your casual tennis friends above a major family experience. This is your brother. He asked you to stand for him and you accepted. Enough said. There will be more tournaments but only one family. You're the asshole. Jesus, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills reading the replies. You're kind of the a-hole. And so are your teammates. If I was on your team, I'd give you a jawburger if you prioritized a tennis tournament over standing by your brother as best man. Your brother could have picked a different weekend. So he's kind of a tool. But still, stand beside your brother. You're the asshole. Let one of the other 3 players who can't make it change their plans. This is your brother's wedding. In 10 years you probably won't even talk to other tennis players. It's not like this is for your job. This is a hobby. People know that this isn't people's first priority. After thinking about it for the last 2 days, I told my brother yesterday that I can't make his wedding. Your tournaments with your stupid friends happen every single year. Your brother is fucking getting married once in his entire life. Jesus fucking Christ, you're the asshole. MFA. You're the asshole. It doesn't sound like you're a tennis professional. So this is ridiculous. Go to the wedding. It's much more significant. If you ever want to have a relationship with your brother and his family. That is. Sorry. But you're the asshole. You literally decided an amateur tennis match is more important to you than your brother. You're the asshole. You didn't say you couldn't attend the weekend of your tournament. Just that it would be better to choose one of the other dates. You're the asshole. You basically told your brother that any date would be okay since it was his wedding. You have several teammates who are okay with not going to the tournament. It's not a matter of, if I don't go, then nobody goes. It's simply a matter of too many teammates having conflicting plans. You are one of them. You were just the last to know about it. Your teammates will groan, but they will understand. Congratulations on winning your league. Win again next year so you can go to the tournament. Communicate your blackout dates much more clearly in the future. You're the asshole, and I can only assume all the not the asshole votes are other men in their 20s who think the world revolves around them. 2. Face with rolling eyes. Tough. You're the asshole. It's your brother's wedding in which you are the best man. There will hopefully be only one and you the most important person there to him besides his finance will miss it to play something that happens frequently. I'm surprised at the NTA. Am I the asshole for taking in my ex's dogs but not my homeless ex? My wife left me and our kids a couple of years ago. She wanted a different life than what we had. She bought a converted van and tried to become a van life influencer. She got some followers but not as many as it takes to be able to live off of it, I guess. She is in the city right now and her van needs repairs. We are in the middle of a heat wave and she needs a place to stay for a week or 2. This is only the second time in 2 years she has bothered to see our kids. I have done my best to make sure that they know that even though their mom is gone, it isn't because she doesn't love them. I said she was working far away. Even after the divorce, I made sure she could have all the visitation she wanted. She doesn't want to stay with her parents because they are very critical of her choice to leave. She doesn't want to stay at a hotel because it will be a dent in her budget. I don't want her in my house because I don't want the kids to freak out when she leaves again. It's best if they see her in a neutral location. I volunteered to take her dogs so she could stay at a hostel. She said I was an asshole for not letting her stay in a house she helped pay for. I bought out her equity when we divorced. It wasn't that much. My parents said I should have let her stay. The woman I'm seeing said that she would have understood if I let her stay. I just know what it would do to my kids. She doesn't want to stay with her parents because they are very critical of her choice to leave. She doesn't want to stay at a hotel because it will be a dent in her budget. She isn't homeless. Her home is in the shop and she doesn't like the options her choices led her to. I volunteered to take her dogs so she could stay at a hostel. Op. You are such a warm and good person. Absolutely not the asshole. Not the asshole, you're being the best parent you can. She's abandoned her children and has no right to impose on them and you. She's not there to see them. She needs a cheap place to crash. It might be traumatic for your kids to have her leave again, and that just isn't worth it. For you or for them. You bought her out and she's used that equity to pursue her new life. She doesn't want to stay with her critical parents. Too bad. Dent her budget. Then where's the child support? Ask your mother to speak to your ex-in-laws, or your mother can offer to host her. Well, if it isn't the consequences of her own actions knocking at her door. For some reason, I have exactly zero sympathy for wannabe influences grifters. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. What a shame she has the choice of staying with her parents or renting a motel room. The choice she doesn't get is squatting in your home till her van is repaired. Not the asshole. Don't fuck with your kid's head in that way. Even if they are told she's leaving, they will hope she won't. They'll dream she won't and then watch her leave them while she takes the dogs with her versus them. Don't. Not the asshole. You're right to protect him from that and are generously taking in the dogs. This isn't a negotiation. This is the favor you're doing for her. Period. Not the asshole. She needs to take ownership of her decisions. You're focused on your children. Not the asshole. Your wife may need a place to stay, but she doesn't need your place to stay. Her parents are available, but she doesn't want to stay with them. She can afford a hotel, but she doesn't want to pay for a hotel. I don't know how old your kids are, and that's probably relevant info. But as it is, you don't seem to be withholding from your kid's mother anything she actually needs. Only what she wants. And she's not entitled to get what she wants from the family she abandoned. Intar. Do not let your kids get used to your ex being around for 2 weeks just to disappear on them again. They need to come first. Your ex had options, she needs to pick one of them. Even if she didn't have other options. Not the asshole. The emotional labor of giving your ex, who isn't even a good co-parent, a place to stay is a lot. Even if you're in a happy relationship now. Also, I'm sure the dogs would appreciate not living the van life. I don't want the kids to freak out when she leaves again. It's best if they see her in a neutral location. Not the asshole. She essentially has abandoned her children. Of course, you don't want to completely upheave their lives by allowing this uncertainty of their mom may be coming back home. She has no right to stay in your home. But she's trying to manipulate you with a guilt trip that she helped pay for it while conveniently forgetting you bought her out. She doesn't sound apologetic or like she has grown too much as a person. And you are being prudent to draw firm boundaries with her. Not the asshole. She would rather traumatize the kids again than face criticism of choices that deserve to be criticized or spend money. She only cares about herself. And that is something you need to keep far away from your kids. Not the asshole. Tell her, like her parents, you are also critical of her choice to leave. Not the asshole. Her staying will only hurt your kids in the long run. Her financial stability is not your responsibility either. Not the asshole. Hell no to the ex staying. But glad you took in the dogs. She made her choice. Let it put a dent in her budget to get a hotel. She's the asshole. You don't have to like and subscribe to that shit show. And the fact that she's chasing followers and neglecting her kids. Like, I'd fucking lose it if I so much as heard her say hey fans. Her parents aren't being critical, they're just telling her what's up. She's a deadbeat. Take the damn dogs. She'll hopefully realize later you were helping as much as you could. You're fully correct, it's not good for the kids to see her there. Get attached and then have her leave again. But even if that wasn't the problem, it's still your choice who you want to have staying in your home. You can help her as much as possible without disrespecting your boundaries. Intar. She left her family, then taken in as a visitor. Really? P. Not the asshole. It just will confuse and upset your children. She made her bed and now has to lie in it. Not the asshole. Maybe she can sell her van to increase her budget for a hotel. Not the asshole. Every choice you've laid out by her is extremely selfish. And her not caring on how this would affect your children is no different. You're protecting your kids and being a good parent. Intar. You have to protect your kids. You are doing the right thing. She should get shouted by her parents a little bit for her life choices. She is a freaking mom. Whatever life crisis she is going through right now, she chose it. Her problem. Not yours. Not the asshole. She's not homeless, she could stay with her parents but doesn't want to. Beggars can't be choosers. This was her choice. She doesn't want to stay with her parents because they are very critical of her choice to leave. Oh, poor ex-wife. Being held accountable to the consequences of her actions by her parents. It's not your fault she doesn't have the balls to face up to what she's done. Not the asshole. Oh. And your parents can house the woman who abandoned her family if they want to. Not the asshole. She fucked up her own life. She has to deal with it. There are plenty of places she could probably stay as well with the dogs. It's not like you aren't helping at all. Which you don't need to in the first place. Not the asshole. You need to do what's right for the kids, and having their mum stay at your house will only confuse them. She isn't homeless, she can stay with her parents. She's choosing not to. Am I the asshole for not inviting my friend to my party because she would ruin the aesthetic? Alt account because I don't want my friends to see this. You're the asshole. I would have sent her an invite and said that the attire was mandatory, that way she could have chosen whether or not she wanted to attend, and if she didn't, no loss to you. If you two are as good of friends as you say, then you should have at least told her about it so she didn't hear it from anyone else and feel left out. You're the asshole. People are not an aesthetic. They are not flowers, or napkins, or tablecloths. You're friends and may not have wanted to wear a fancy dress costume, but she is a member of the book club and most decidedly not an aesthetic. You chose some silly video you saw on TikTok over friendship and your aesthetics, which is sad. YTA. You could have invited her and made it clear that the dress code is not optional. Then it's up to her if she wants to dress up and go or stay home. But you didn't even give her the option. Not the asshole. It's your event. Through your effort, you can invite whoever you want. But then again, the aftermath wasn't handled properly. Especially if she really said. She said she was upset that I wouldn't want her there even if she wore her regular clothes. She chose to be comfortable at every other gathering. And that's her right. But if she made it clear that she wouldn't have bothered to put in the effort if she were invited, then yes, you are right, although a bit more nuance would have settled the matter. You're the asshole. Should have just sent invitations where it specifies that it requires formal attire so she could at least choose. You're the asshole. Why not give her a chance to try and dress up? You could require the costume and she could turn down the invite if she didn't want to fancy up. It's super mean to exclude one person who isn't harmful. This is the same account that keeps posting about how impossible it is to dress well in her country. Because it is rude and makes other people feel like garbage. I call bullshit. Never happened. Not the asshole. But I wouldn't have let her hear from someone else that she wasn't invited. Honesty is key in friendship, actually in everything. Even if the other person doesn't respond nicely. She seems like and are for being upset that you wouldn't accept her showing up like she was picking up a gallon of milk at the mart on the corner. Not the asshole. Girl would have showed up dressing normal anyway, even if you sent a letter saying dress up is mandatory. Not the asshole. Dress code is a dress code. You just worded this terribly, wouldn't fit your aesthetic. You're the asshole. You invite everyone but tell them that people will not be admitted if they don't follow the dress code. Then it's up to her. It's not dissimilar to having a wedding or any event with a dress code. There were better ways to handle this. But you know she wasn't going to follow the dress code and doesn't enjoy these events. You could have invited her and let her know the dress code was mandatory and let her choose. But ultimately not the asshole. You didn't invite a friend to an event you know she wouldn't enjoy. You're the asshole. The obvious solution is to invite her and then state on the invitation that it is a rigid dress code. Then if she chooses to come in sweatpants, you're justified in turning her away. You're the asshole. You should have invited her, but explained the importance dress code. You could ask her for a day and if she said no, then you could rescind the invite. Not inviting her and giving the option was wrong. You're the asshole. You excluded a friend of more than 10 years because you were afraid she'd ruin the aesthetic of your party. You didn't even give her the opportunity to choose to dress up or decline the invitation. That's insulting. Edited to add, I can't imagine wanting to be friends with someone who is so concerned about appearances. Even your choice of title is cringeworthy. Now you are allowed to have events with only people who enjoy the same type of activity. She has demonstrated that she does not want to adapt her attire to the occasion. Neither of you seem like ours to me. I can understand why her feelings are hurt. But she doesn't really seem to understand the impact of her decisions on others. Not the asshole. You don't want weeds in your flower patch. Not the asshole, as is bad manners to not dress up as a dress-up event. However, you went about the wrong way. The way around this was to send invite detailing strict dress code and let her decline. You made yourself look bad. I just want to say that sounds awesome. Having a ball and dressing up. I wish I was there. Not the asshole. Although a conversation with Sam while you were organizing it would have been transparent. Sam wouldn't have felt excluded. Even might have decided to take the plunge and dress up. Not the asshole. You can invite whoever you want to your party. I thought this wouldn't be your thing and you wouldn't want to dress up. Was I wrong? I haven't seen you dress up in other cases where the general expectation is to wear a dress. I'm not seeing anything's wrong with the way you want to dress yourself. But I wanted to have a fancy dress party, which I didn't think you'd want to participate in. Not the asshole. She wouldn't have dressed up and it would have been drama trying to explain it to her. Either that or she would arrive looking like she woke up and your night would be ruined. You're the asshole. It is quite common for events to have a dress code. There's no reason not to invite her and inform her of the dress code. If she doesn't want to adhere to it, that's fine, but she should have had the choice. Sam is selfish. Not the asshole. You're the asshole. You've damaged if not destroyed a long-time friendship to play dress up. Good grief. You're the asshole. You made an assumption which may be correct but might not be, that she would not go in party attire. Even people who enjoy the comfort dressing 24/7. Now and then. Like an actual reason to dress up like a costume party. You should have invited her, and the invitations can indicate dress code theme dressing required. You're the asshole. While you don't have to invite someone you don't want at your event, it's not hard to just not have her in your precious IG photos to keep your aesthetic in place. You had to know it would get back to her. You knew her feelings would be hurt. You didn't even give her the courtesy of an invite with ball gown required and a conversation about it so she could choose to participate or decline. So now you've hurt her feelings and made her feel she, as a person, isn't good enough for you. You owe her an apology without but or excuses, etc. Not the asshole. Based on Sam's response, acting like she actually totally would have worn casual even with the formal specification if invited. You're the asshole. Imagine not being invited to your friend's party. BC she doesn't like your style. You're the asshole. Imagine if your close friend did this to you. Invite all your friends and excluded you. Didn't bother to tell you, and when confronted said sorry. You'd just ruin the vibe. You're a terrible friend and a coward. As many have pointed out, you could have made it mandatory dress code to be in period attire and invited her. Congrats, you've thrown away a friendship over a TikTok trend. Don't want my friends to see this. Do they know you excluded her, or are you too cowardly to tell them the real reasons Sam isn't going?